Hatep, peace. For those tuning in for the first time, welcome to Pa-Kadesh V'Nes Tasu, the sacred feminine. For all others, welcome back. Today I will be reading for you the Gospel of Yadon on the sacred feminine. We will resume our reading from verse 621. Tawakum. And in actual fact, when you really read in the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, you see it says, "And God Elohim, speaking of strong beings, said, let us make man and bring forth and yield, and they will add many others." This they mistranslate to mislead you, to take you off of the right path and the right track. That is, Adam was in fact born of a woman. So in fact, it says, "And the strong ones said amongst themselves, let us bear a ruddy being." Nuwapians, many lives have been told since the creation of the Bible story, which birthed the Quranic stories. If their Jesus said himself to human beings living at this time, John 8, verse 44, "You are of your father, the devil." This means human devils lived 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem. If they were of their father, the devil, a liar from the beginning of their story, as you read in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, where it says, "The woman, Eve, seed, offspring." So this serpent had a seed. This one, or the one you read of in the Revelations chapter 12, verse 9, "And the great dragon was cast out of that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So you have walking the planet Earth a seed of devils that Jesus pointed out as liars. They're in human form, once angels who you entertain daily. The New Testament book of Hebrews in chapter 13, verse 2, it says, "Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares." Who were and are these undercover devils who were fallen angels, children of Satan? Shamyaza, Samael, 2 Corinthians 11:14, it says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into the angel of light." So you have with you people who are the seed of Satan, the devil from their beginnings amongst you, who transform. And now they look like human beings. And they do not want their story exposed from Adam down to Muhammad back to them, the fallen angels who fell from grace with their father, the devil, a liar, a killer from the beginning right up to now. They will never admit that women were before a man. That would put her before him, for the devil is a him, according to their own Bible and their Quran. Then who was the devil's mother? Who was the devil's father? Where was the father of the devil born? They were all extraterrestrials, who was and who, as their Bible and book says, came down to earth in crafts. They call them wings or chariots, Psalms 68:17, and as clouds of fire in Psalms chapter 105, verse 39, in pillars of smoke and fire. Exodus 19:18, Exodus 19:9 through 11, Exodus 13:21 through 22, a rolled-shaped craft 30 feet by 15 feet, also in Zechariah 15:1 through 2, and called the glory of the Lord many times, or kabad, and took people up with them, as you read over and over. And they came down to earth from above in Genesis 1 and 2, and Genesis 11, 5 through 7. Also in Genesis 18, 1 through 8. And in the Quran of Islamism, many times they come down and they raise back up to his thrones. They sit on it, on and in his heaven, which is haven. This gospel of Yadon on the sacred feminine reveals this to you, that you may know who you are and wake up from the spell of sleep and ignorance called Kingu, being ruled by minds and bodies and spirits and many souls, and the three vortexes, number 1 being the vortex of air, number 2 being the vortex of water, number 3 being the vortex of energy, the 3 protections of the womb. And all must be returned to the feminine powers. As it was in our beginning, we are not of Adamite seed, nor from their recordings of their Bibles and their Quran. Too many of our race and children have or are being deceived by the devil, by Satan, the dragon, the fallen angels, and his wicked evil seed by nature and also unnatural nature. This is why in Jewishism they keep the Shabbat, or in Strong's 6635, they are the host. It speaks of the host is coming for food, and they call it also in Strong's 7673, they call it Shabbath. Desist at his house. Do not enter and eat these in his house. This house has the mark on their doorposts in Exodus 11, 7 through 12. So you see the symbol to not enter and or eat them. They are safe. Shalom. And the females of the house, they perform the Shabbat ritual. They cover their eyes as not to look on at their El Shaddai, as he commanded in Moses, Musa, Exodus 33:20, also in Isaiah 9:19. And the prayer the females of the house they perform is the Shalom prayer. Strong's number 7966 means secure, safe, and at peace. So the woman of the house, they would cover their eyes and read the secure prayer, or the loaf of baked bread, a symbol of offspring in place of flesh, and drink wine in place of blood. So they have in place of blood on their door a mezuzah with Shaddai on it and prayers inside of it. That is the symbol of protection from the coming flesh eaters, mezuzah, or Job 38:32, Mazoroth, in Strong's 42:16, also in Job 38:31 through 35, and Luke 10:18 speaks of the coming of Satan, or in Revelations 19:16 through 21. So in fact, the Shabbath day, they hide behind doors from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset to be safe from their flesh-eating El Shaddai and his cherubim. When exactly they will return, they lost the exact day. So they gather indoors every 7th day to symbolize the end of the 6,000th year and beginning of the new 7,000th year, or the 1,000 years called the millenary or millennium, in Revelations 21 through 3. So they know the day is coming, so they retreat behind closed doors and have the Shabbat rites. They lead this by the female or feminine, so as not to be eaten. They take shelter behind the feminine, as they did in Egypt, and will be done in the New Babylon of the West, in Sodom and Egypt, this time the Western world. So Nuwapians, when you read in Genesis 2:1 and see the word host, and also in Strong 6635, it is in actual fact Sabbath or Sabbat, speaking of Sirius. And Quran backs this up, saying, Allah is the Lord Master of Aishai, Sharia. Quran 53:49. And they have no knowledge of what this means. In the Quran 265, also 4:154, 7:163, and 166. Also chapter 16:124. The order to keep the, as Arabic calls it, shabbath or sabd, S-A-B-T. So the true meaning of Genesis 2:2-3, you see, rests, yet the actual fact is it's Strong's number 7673, which means desist and halt, to be stopped. In Psalms 33:6, also Exodus 20:11, and 31:17. This also can be found in Deuteronomy 5:14, Hebrew 4:3-6, this 1,000th year after the 6,000 years. In our tribe and nation, also the feminine must lead the prayer of protection. The divine chosen feminine and the masculine follow them. This is our way. They learned from us while they were in Kemet, Egypt. Speaks of this in Exodus 7:22. By their leader Moshe, Moses, Musa, Exodus 7:22-23, who study our knowledge before they were taken into Babylon, and they changed to their knowledge of the knowledge of the Karubu or Mukrubu, the cherubim. They look for Elijah to come back down in 2 Kings 2:1 to protect them. So they set a place for them to come and seat before the day. In Malachi 4:5-6, yet when he came, they ignored him. Elijah Muhammad started in 1930s AD, mid-year. So the Jubilee would be 50 years later, 1970s, when I was Isa el-Hadi el-Mahdi, broke open the 7 seals, shut up by Daniel, as in Daniel 12:1-4, as Michael. Now read Daniel 12:1-12. The children of Judah is the lost tribe, now called Shabazz, or the Nation of Islam. And Daniel 12:9, these actual facts, Wu-Nuwap, was closed up and sealed till this time, the end of the wicked evil race's 6,000 years dominion, his rule, is over. And their star system of Pleiades, the 6-pointed star with the central point, if you take this symbol, or Mogan David, the shield of beloved, and separate it, you get 6 triangles. That is 3 times 6, or 6 times 3. That is 666, or 18, as you read in Revelations 13:18, the number of the beast man, 666. So we are at that time to reveal what was sealed, closed, shut up from our people for far too long, as they accept Ibrahim's religion, his opinions, Mosesism, Jesusism, Muhammadism, the 3 degrees that enforce the spell of sleep. Also, you can find this in Daniel 12:2. It is time to wake up. Some will feel shame because they taught and trusted the belief of Abraham. The children, Persian, son of Tirhu, later called Terah, Azar, a priest of Magi of the Sumerians, to have to tell all they were wrong for being a Hebrew Israelite, a Rasta, a Christian, or Muslim, and all they taught was not really our own. They will be ashamed. So we'll have ego and hold on to their lies they tell, pretend that it's true, when inside they know the real truth has finally come as Wu-Sabat. Others will be very pleased, for everlasting life is come for them. These are our own people. Some still walk by faith, and others will accept and walk by fate. This is the gospel I bring to you as a salvation to destroy the lies of the race of liars. For their lies you read Revelations 21:8. That lake of fire is to cook them for food by their gods. As you read in Leviticus chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and don't think for one second that they're Yahweh of the Elohim in Genesis 2 and 7 and the Bani Elohim in Genesis 6:2, or children of gods that don't think that they don't eat flesh. Read in Genesis 18:1 through 8, and the last verse says, and they did eat. Who are the they? Verse 1 says, Yahweh, which means Lord. He was seen in flesh, or appeared on earth at a plains of Mamre to Abraham, and the Quran of Islamism has the same story. Their Yahweh or Rab, Allah, took on a physical body, and he did eat flesh of a cooked calf, as well as the two angels who came down with him. As you read in verse 22, two angels in the form of men. Also, the Quran 89:22, and when your master, Rab, has come, and the angels row after row. And chapter 19, verse 1 says, the two angels came before Lot at Sodom, and Lot called these two Adonai, in Strong's 113, lords. Verse 2, so don't let them lie and say all of them was angels. For it says in Genesis 18:2, he saw 3 Enoshites, meaning men. In Strong's 582, he spoke to 2 of them in verse 3 as my lords. Strong's 136, Adonai. But one of them in verse 1 is the Lord in Strong's 368, Yahweh. The Arabs in Arabic use Rab, as in the Quran 51:23 through 27. You see Rab or Lord, same story repeated. Genesis 18:8 says they did eat flesh of a calf, and this was Allah or Rab or El or Yahweh eating flesh. And his angels Adonai also ate flesh that day with Ibrahim, and they, as extraterrestrials, still eat flesh, even human flesh, as they taught the Levite priest in Leviticus 10:12 through 14, also Leviticus 6:26 through 30. So in fact, the hell's fire, the lake of fire, is no more than humans being cooked as food to be eaten. This was the deal of covenant made with Abraham in Genesis 17:1, with El Shaddai in Strong 77:06 through 4:10 to verse 2 through 7. The word covenant in Strong's 1285 is barith, from Strong's 1279, birith, meaning meat, from Strong's 1262, bara, means to eat meat. This Nuwapians, they never ask, why does their God, Lord, Allah, Rab, El, Yahweh, Adonai, Baal, ask them to kill animals, sprinkle blood on altars, cut them up as offerings or sacrifices for him and for them? They never ask the simple question because they're under a hypnotic spell. They hear sounds, voices, broadcasted inside their heads from their God who speaks to them or commune in Strong's 1696, Debar, which means to speak. Inside of them, they even say, God spoke to my heart. They don't realize it's real. This is why they say, I hear voices, and are declared crazy, yet it is real. Their doctors will tell you some hear more than one voice. From whom and from where? Broadcasted into their minds by these extraterrestrials that control them, called faith and belief. So, they can't ask these kinds of questions. It's called blasphemy when they ask their leaders to think on your own outside of the Bible and the Quran. So this is the spell our people are under, and only Wu-Nuwap can break that spell of Kingu. Do not expect the devils to teach the truth about himself. The devil's seed, they must, by nature, tell lies. And this is the seed of the fallen angels in the Bible and the Quran, chosen to breed human devils. In Genesis 1:26 through 27, and their sons raped Adamites in Genesis 6:1 through 5, you can also find this fact. To birth wicked and evil humanoids, flesh eaters, also in the book of Enoch 15:8 through 12, also Enoch 1, chapter 7, verse 1 through 14. Also in the book of Jubilee, chapter 5, 1 through 10, called the chosen people, Adam's generation. Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. In the Quran, chapter 3:33. And these are their real names, not the description or what they did or looked like, the 6 genes. Adamu, or Adapa, and Kawa, Eve, or Titi, Lilith. Cain, or Hanan, and Awan. Seth, or Sati, Azuru. Enosh, or Enshi, and Noam. Noah, or Zeustra, Imzara. Abraham, or Ibrahim, and Sarah. Jacob, or Jacob, and Leah. Bilhah, Zilpah, and Rachel. From them was born many tribes and nations that spread from Sumeria, Babylon, and Mesopotamia world over, with their wicked evil cultures now called religion, or deen. Din, from Eden, the enclosed garden of sexual pleasures. These bear the mark in their genetic makeup to this day. Once you can see, as they approach you in Genesis 3:22, their physical bodies were changed from natural nature to unnatural nature. Also, some of them received a curse of leprosy as Canaan, or Kaan, Laban, and his 11 tribes who spread disease world over. And these tribes extended from the original 6 to many others, to Moshe, Moses, Musa, to Yeshua, Eos, Jesus, Isa, Ahmed, Muhammad, Mohammed. So each met with extraterrestrials of their ancestral past and gave them knowledge to guide their own seed. This knowledge was in the form of stone tablets, later became books. The Old Testament books, the New Testament books, the latest Testament books, shortened to Torahs, the Gospel, Quran, and their different religions, Mosesism, Judaism, Jesusism, Christianity, and Muhammadism, also Al-Islam. Their own guidances and warning for their own race and sub-races of them. Yet by their unnatural nature, they could not obey, so they each destroyed their original books of revelations and rewrote, they claim, from the minds of followers, relatives, and friends, new copies. Destroyed and neglected are parts they did not agree with. They did not include. So you have being uncovered today many lost books or chapters that was left out after the original persons died. Also, they lost the original language the books came down in, so they updated the language, created chapters and verses. They made new symbols, grammar, and claims. This is how they heard it read or spoken that only they, the new breed, can confirm is true. They lost their way and made up new versions of their religions, which divided into many denominations, groups, sects, and now they are all confused. And now these same people, Adamites, war, they fight, they kill one another. Each claim to be right when none of them are, or have the original books, or are the original pure seed, nor speak or understand the original language of the original revelations sent down to their ancestors by extraterrestrials who gave it to the Sumerians on stone tablets first. So you have liars lying from their beginnings, killing, warring for thousands of years over misinformation based on faith and not facts. Yet they each look up to the sky for their God and converted people unto whom these books were not intended for, living by blind faith and false beliefs, fake doctrines of people who make claims that are not supported by truth or confirmation. This my, as Nabab Yanun's gospel, is to save my race from these wicked, evil race and sub-races, as recorded in their own book in Genesis 6:5. They are born with unnatural natures, so it says of them, and Yahweh, Jehovah, that is Nudimud, or Inki, the half-brother of Nuamnir, or Elo, or Enlil, the two sons of An, or Anu, called in the Bible Eliun El, Most High God. In the Quran, Elahu El-Ali, God the Most High. So Inki, or Yahweh, saw the wickedness of the Adamites. The ruddy, pale, white race was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of their heart was only evil continually. So my people, Nuwapian, of the lost now found tribe of Yamasi, aboriginal people of this planet grown here, they are evil by nature and they cannot be reformed. Every imagination of their thoughts in their hearts is only devilishment at all times, forever, and they cannot be reformed. They are the devils, they are also the devil's children. As Jesus said in John 8:44, you are of your father the devil, a liar from the beginning. He also calls them bodies, in which dwells Satan in Revelations 2:9, the synagogue, the temple of Satan. And who is Satan? According to their own teachings, a fallen angel. In Job chapter 2, verse 1, also Job 1:6. So sons of gods still existed after their flood of Noah's time, and was cast down to earth, all 200 of the 300, for mixing their seed with Enoshite daughters. Genesis 6:1-5. So they warred in heaven and was cast down, became known as Nephalu or Manfalu, fallen ones. This can be found in Revelations 12:7-12, Ezekiel 28:13-17, Ezekiel 31:7-11, and Isaiah 14:12-19. The fallen angels is on earth with you, looking human, and their wicked offspring, Pa-Kaka-Salal, now called by many new names as nations of Europe, America, and Australia, and many nations world over, where their mixed seeds and their religions of Abraham. This gospel is a warning to reject them, Avoid them, for they only plan to offer your souls to their overlords, called El or Allah, Yahweh or Rab, who pretends to be God in Ezekiel 28, verse 8 through 9, and lion prophets in Kings 1, chapter 22, 21 through 23. Also in Ezekiel 14:9. So the prophets of their books and the spirits that comes to them gives them only lies, and the Bible and the Quran. I am warning my race, my tribe, my people, my nation, that they are the devil's seed and abuse their own feminine. Look at how their religions abuse the women in Abraham's religion. They abuse the feminine, the others. They have feminine convinced that it is from a masculine God that women are or became unclean, as their bodies clean themselves. Something that men's body does not do, clean itself inside out. They have feminine convinced that it is from a masculine deity that females are to not lead prayer, and some even put them in the back of their prayer temples or outright claim males are the head of females. They have feminine convinced that it is from a masculine Allah that ladies are to hide and cover their beautiful bodies given to them by natural nature, yet men can expose most of their bodies. They veil women, they lock them behind screens, they keep them in the dwellings. They have feminine convinced that it is from a masculine Yahweh that a woman is less trusted as an equal witness to a man, as a witness to a religious violation. They have feminine convinced by a masculine supreme being that angels are males, that the supreme being has sons, and an only begotten son or virgin birth male Messiah. So the supreme being is a he, the angels are he, the sons of the supreme being is a he, all masculine in spirit or flesh. This is the root of the acceptance of patriarchy male rules, the father over the mother, even the ungenetically fact that women came from man. The genetic fact is men come from women. Lie after lie, deception after deception. And they have actually convinced feminines that this is the masculine God's plans for feminine in Abram, a male's religion. Feminine are to ignore these actual facts as geology, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, and astronomy. Don't study ecology. You will, if you do, find out who and what you have done on this planet as feminine before you birth masculine. Tawakum for listening. We appreciate you. You can view these readings on www.wunawap.com. That is www.wu-nuwaup.com. Without.